Hello guys and welcome again to UGA Reviews. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Here we are going to review books, shows and movies. Now flash in the intro. Today we are going to be discussing about which studio's remake of One Piece, the One Piece. Well, buckle up because today we are exploring why which studio could give One Piece a fresh start, solve many of Toei's issues and elevate the whole experience. We'll be looking at everything from pacing to animation to character development and beyond. Let's get started. Alright, let's get started with the big one. All the arcs. One Piece has a ton of them, but what really sets them apart isn't just the story, it's the way Toei handles them. Here's the deal. While Toei gets a lot right with some arcs, they often struggle with pacing, filler episodes, and drawn out battle scenes. So from the early days of Romance Dawn to the Wano arc, Toei tends to drag things out. Sometimes we get stuck with endless filler episodes. We are looking at you, Zhao. And sometimes the emotional highs just don't hit as hard because of rushed animation. But imagine all those iconic moments like Luffy's speech to Nami or the Straw Hats finally defeating Crocodile with smooth pacing and flawless animation. Which studio would bring just the right amount of focus on every key moment plus no more filler to slow down the story? From Alabasta to Marineford, Toei sometimes fumbles the pacing, especially with their need to fill time between major arcs. Which studio though? They focus on quality over quantity. They would streamline the storytelling and make sure that every arc gets the love it deserves. So if you have ever felt One Piece dragging on or getting repetitive, which studio would cut that down to size? But which would cut the fluff and make every episode count while respecting the essence of the arcs. Expect less filler and more. So pacing is a high issue, right? Some arcs feel like they're in slow motion. Toei tends to get bogged down by fight sequences, and the build-up just goes on and on and on. Remember the Luffy vs. Lucci fight? Went on almost 30 episodes. Great fight, but by the end I was exhausted. It felt like Toei was milking every punch for all it's worth. Which studio would handle this differently? They're known for keeping the high energy, and when it's time for action, they get straight to the point while maintaining fluid animation. Look at how Wit handled the Attack on Titan battles, tight, fast, and emotionally charged. That's the kind of pacing we need in One Piece. Not drawn out, not repetitive, just pure intensity when it counts. Animation quality. Toei does some great work, but honestly, there are moments when the animation feels like it's holding back. Some of the more dramatic moments fall flat because the art style doesn't live up to the intensity of the scene. Remember how the emotional breakdown in Arlong Park felt a little rushed? Or how some of the fights in Wano didn't quite deliver the impact they should have? That's where Wit Studio would shine. They'd bring every moment to life with beautiful detail, which animation would bring out the best in One Piece's art. The expressive faces, the dynamic fight scenes would feel more cinematic, more fluid, and ultimately more immersive. Here's the thing, One Piece is all about character growth, but sometimes Toei's approach doesn't give these moments enough space to breathe. When Usopp's father's backstory is told, we should feel a deep connection, but Toei sometimes cuts these emotional arcs short. Imagine if Wit Studio had more time to focus on the nuances of these character arcs. The emotional payoff would be so much. Let's not forget the filler problem. Toei has a fascinating love affair with filler episodes, from filler arcs that don't impact the story at all to extended episodes that could have been half the length. There's a lot of fat in Toei's adaptation, which studio has a much more efficient approach. They focus on telling the story, not dragging it for unnecessary episodes. We'd get to the heart of each arc faster with no filler slowing things. One Piece's world is massive, and while Toei does a great job, there's room for improvement in terms of building out the world around Luffy and the crew. Wit's experience with world building in shows like Attack on Titan would allow them to enhance One Piece's settings, making the environment feel more alive. One Piece has its share of humor, but at times the comedy can feel a little too much, especially in intense moments. Which studio would strike the perfect balance? They know how to dial up the comedy without sacrificing the seriousness of the story. As One Piece approaches its final arcs, the weight of the story will become even more important. With its handling of emotional climaxes, the final arcs would have the impact they deserve, with every character getting the closure they've earned. To wrap it all up, why Wit Studio? Wit is known for their attention to detail, their focus on pacing, and their ability to balance action, emotion, and world building like no one else. They would take One Piece to new heights by making it more cinematic, emotionally impactful, and well paced. Imagine a world where One Piece didn't feel dragged out, where every arc and battle left you wanting more, where every character development hit like a freight train. That's the future. With which studio? Netflix made the right decision to go with which studio. So that's it for today, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. And of course, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for more anime deep dives. Till then,